Hello, everybody. My name is Patrick Collins. This is Failing Upwards, and we're just going to get right into it. I've been feeling some type of way today. I was getting into it with somebody on Facebook. I'm drinking Red Bull, not sponsored, and I, I'm trying to figure out, what's going up, what's going down, and we're going to talk about the ongoing genocide that Israel is committing on the Palestinian people and what how the U.S. is culpable in this situation and how the other parts of the world are feeling about it, and really try to piece together what's going on the ground. It's no good. So we'll start by what has America done in this situation? Because some people want to be like, well, we don't really have a part in it. Why don't we just abandon it all? Why don't we just leave them to their devices? Well, I'll tell you why we can't do that. Because we've already been so involved in Israel between the money, the weapons, and it's been for a long time. We prop them up over in the Middle East. So if it's all their actions might as well be on us. We have blood on our hands when it comes to these situations. And I don't want to put it all on Trump because it's been going on for a long time. But let's just talk about the Trump administration because it's recent and this is what we're dealing with at the moment. I can't go back and look at Biden for all, the good things that he did when it came to unions, when it came to jobs, when you really, you can't, you have to hold him accountable for giving a bunch of money for a genocide in Israel. And that's going to be a black mark on Biden's history as a president. It's just the way it is. But let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about the illegal actions, in my opinion, the disgraceful actions that he's doing and his administration are doing to further benefit Israel. So we'll look into this right now. How much money, and this is our money, let's not forget about this. Every dollar that goes to Israel is our money. And it could be going to the American people for what we need in this country: free college, health care, what we need to maintain the social safety net and make us at least somewhat the greatest country in the world. Throw it back into manufacturing, infrastructure. But instead, we do this. So, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is bypassing Congress to send yet more billions of dollars worth of military assistance to Israel as it renews its total blockade on aid into Gaza, sparking accusations from human rights groups that Israel is once again using starvation as a weapon of war. On Saturday, Rubio announced that he had signed a declaration to expedite $4 billion in military assistance to Israel, vowing to fulfill America's long-standing commitment to Israel's security. Now, the announcement came just a day after the administration notified Congress of $3 billion in military assistance, so that we're already at $7 billion right now, including over 35,000 2,000 pound bombs. Look, that is crazy amount of weapon. Reversing the Biden's administration pause on such weapons, which, like, for letting the genocide even happen at all and continuing to fund it and prop it up, Biden will have that mark on his record. But at least he said stop bombing with the 2,000 pound bombs, because all the 2,000 pound bombs do, if you look into it, is kill civilians. I'm sure there'll be another time where I actually pull up the statistics. The 2,000 pound bombs, we stopped using them in the Middle East because all they did was kill civilians. So that we're giving them 35,000 2,000 pound bombs. Not genocide. They're not trying to just destroy Gaza. We'll look at those numbers in a second. So Israel's used 2,000 pound bombs extensively in its genocide in Gaza. It's what experts have said are likely war crimes. These people need to be tried. So this is the total. This brings the total amount of military assistance the Trump administration has given Israel so far to nearly 12 billion. just 6 weeks into Donald Trump's second term. I think this might be an old article because I was reading it was 14 billion now. Let me see when this article come out. Yeah, in March. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is a little older. Um, let's see. Uh, let's see if we can. Yeah, the 12 billion, 12 billion. Yeah, but that again, that isn't the entire. That isn't the entire amount that we've sent to them over the years. This is just over the past 6 months. All this money, all this money. And they say, we don't have the money. That's always their excuse when you want to bring up free healthcare, when you want to bring up free college, free trade school. Always the money. We don't have the money. Oh, but we have enough to send billions to Israel for them to kill children. Think about that. Think about what your tax dollars are going towards. I don't understand how we can really stand it. When I think about what my money is going towards, it makes me sick. It makes me sick to my stomach. Now, in complete contrast to how we're treating this genocide, because if I look at mainstream media in America, it's always going to soften the blow on Israel. Still, like they're just now getting around to saying the G word, and it's horrible. So we're looking at war crimes done in our name, blood on our hands, our bombs, our money. Israel has they have free healthcare. Why? Because they don't have to pay their defense budget. Because we do that for them. We subsidize them, but we can't afford it. So on the other side of the world, we have other countries, Ireland, the UK. Ireland announces that there might be military intervention, boots on the ground in Israel, if they don't want to knock off what they're doing, committing their war crimes, killing tens of thousands, 100,000, killing so many people. So what are they doing on the other side of the world? UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said Tuesday that his nation will recognize the state of Palestine at a United Nations meeting in September if Israel does not agree to a ceasefire in Gaza. Today, as part of the process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognize the state of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution. And this includes allowing the UN to restart the supply aid, making clear that there will be no annexations in the West Bank. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not far enough, but it's a start from going to saying absolutely nothing. So we're going to show up to the summit in the UN where Putin, Yeah, I always get these fascists confused with each other. Where Benjamin Netanyahu, he's not even allowed in certain countries. Of course, people that are wanted internationally can come to America and do whatever they want with immunity and impunity. So we have Benjamin Netanyahu, and we have, I don't even know if he goes to the UN summits, and what's going to happen if all these people agree that they need to take a stand against Israel, and America is the only one that's still backing. With our backs against the wall, will we stop sending the weapons and the bombs, or what's the other option? Do we just go to war with the entire world? Who's to say? Now, very recently, now this genocide has been going on for 2 years. We want to talk about October 7th. They want to talk about Hamas. And now I will sit here, I will say plain as day, and you can clip this and try to take me out of context. But Hamas is bad. Hamas is wrong. October 7th was bad. Nobody should have terror attacks happen to them. Okay, you can quote me on that. Does does the attack warrant the defense? Defense. If you look at the history, they act like October 7th just happened out of nowhere. That's like saying 9/11 happened out of nowhere. So it's an action and reaction. When you have Israel going into not even recognizing Palestine as a state, but going in and colonizing parts of it, annexing people, making it an open air prison and basically an apartheid state. So when you have this, all of this going on, and you if they attack you, of course they're gonna be angry. Like this is how the cycle of violence continues and continues and continues for hundreds, thousands of years. Somebody needs to put a stop to it. But 2 years of mass starvation, bombing campaigns, does that warrant it? Now Israel is looking at Gaza City. That was their latest attack, or they've started moving in on Gaza City, which is like the last bastion of hope for Gaza. Really, um, they're really getting to the bottom of this. So it says with Israel Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz vowed on Friday to destroy Gaza City if Hamas does not agree to disarm, release all remaining hostages in the territory, and end the war on Israel's terms. Soon, the gates of hell will open upon the heads of Hamas's murderers and rapists in Gaza till they agree Israel's conditions for ending the war, primarily the release of all hostages and their disarmament, the minister posted on social media. They do not agree Gaza, the capital of Hamas, will become Rafah and Beit Hanan, referring to two cities in Gaza largely razed during previous Israeli operations. He stated Israel's ceasefire demands the release of all hostages and Hamas's complete disarmament. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said late on Thursday that he has ordered immediate negotiations aimed at freeing all the hostages. Okay, so this is where it's propaganda and it's a lie. Because Hamas has said, and it even says right here, Hamas has said on many occasions, even earlier this week, that it agreed to a ceasefire proposal from the mediators. But they won't agree to all their terms. Israel wants everything. They want Hamas to surrender. They want Hamas the hostages back, the ones that are even alive that they haven't killed during their own bombing campaigns. They want Hamas to disarm. They want them to leave the state. And then what else do they want? They still want to annex the West Bank. They still want to take over Gaza. They still want to colonize Gaza. So what? It's basically sit there, shut up, and we're going to go back to how it was. If you want to survive, you're going to have to live beneath us under our boot and just go back to the way it was. And I just don't like, you can't wrap your head around this. Why do they think that it's going to happen like that? I don't understand. The world is going to recognize Palestine as a state. It was supposed to always be like that. You know, if going into the history, if you go back into the 40s, is really when this whole conflict kicked off. I'll look. We're going to look more into it, a little bit later. But this has been going on for a lot longer than we think it has, with their invasion and disrespect of Gaza and the Palestinians. So they're bombing Gaza City, the last stronghold, the last bastion of light in Gaza. for the Palestinians. So what does it, how is Israel doing this bombing campaign? At the moment, they're telling the aid groups and the medics to prepare for evacuation. So we're looking at at least if we go back how they've been doing it, and I've also seen the videos. So you if you look at it, they have a bit of actually notice. They even have sometimes they even have the sirens go off, but they won't give anyone time to actually evacuate. And then they'll say to go to the safe zones, and they'll bomb those too. But it's not a genocide. So Israel's military says it was warned medical officials and organizations to prepare for the planned evacuation of Gaza City's 1 million residents ahead of the offensive to occupy. Officials told the adjustments were being made to hospitals in southern Gaza to receive patients. Gaza's Hamas-run military rejected any step that would undermine what remains of the health system. The UN aid groups also vowed to stay and help those who cannot choose not to move. Meanwhile, Palestinians said there have been heavy bombardment in eastern areas of the city, a day after the military said it had taken first steps in the offensive, where, again, the evacuation hasn't even happened. It's barely taken place, and they're going on the offensive. But it's not a genocide. And you want to tell the hospital, the people, the aid workers to leave first. So they can't help, the sick, the people that is like of course they are staying, thank God, but they you want to control the health of them because they don't care about their lives. Benjamin Netanyahu has no plans. He even said that he believes it's a mission from God to create the greater Israel. Let's look at this map. 86 of Gaza's military zones are under evacuation orders or completely destroyed. They have this little strip. All this red. All this. This is what they have. They want to wipe Gaza City off the map. There won't be much left. The ones that are left, they'll want to send it so they can make it an ethno state. They're looking to make a greater Israel. Now, what is greater Israel? We'll talk about that at a different time. But the plan is, and they've already been enacting it, take over swaths of Syria, take over swaths of Iran, take over the Golan Heights, take over Gaza, take over the West Bank. You could see it all happening. Some of these people want to believe in the rapture. It's all coming together for them. This is why some of our religious fundamentalists go hand in hand with their religious fundamentalists. They hate each other. So if you there's adjustments being made to try to keep people from not dying. So, but it when you're doing these evacuations and you're trying to like take all the people and put them in smaller hospitals, it deprives more. It says right here, we deprive more than 1 million people of their right to medical treatment, expose the lives of residents, patients, and the wounded to imminent danger. 18 of Gaza's 36 hospitals. That's all that's left. Like, they had 36 hospitals. Now they have 18 because of the bombings. Because Hamas was always under hospitals and schools. It seemed like that's where all they were at. Under hospitals and schools. Total infrastructure. Electrical facilities. Yeah, just that makes a lot of sense. Complete infrastructure. That's always where they were. So 18 of Gaza's 36 hospitals are currently partially functional, and 11 of them are located in Gaza City. So if they take out Gaza City, the last bastion of hope for the Palestinian people. That won't happen. Like I said, as they lose their lives, they won't care. America and Israel, we have so much blood on our hands, and as these people are dying, we just want to take away even their small chance of survival by taking away these hospitals. The IDF has said that as long as they don't kill 100 people, more than 100 people a day, that no one's going to bat an eye. And I believe it. It says the Hamas run, it said at least 48 people were killed by Israeli strikes and fire across Gaza on Thursday. They're just bombing indiscriminately, complete unfettered destruction. So, how do the Gazan citizens feel about this? This is what we have to remember. These are people. These are people, and we're gonna see how many are civilians versus military. Because if this is a war, I'm assuming that they should just be fighting mostly military. If it's a war, so let's look at what the civilians, the people on the ground, and I'm not, war has casualties. It shouldn't, or at least the military, if you have to invade and have to do war, there should be as much protection as you can to save civilian lives. To not have collateral damage. To not destroy an entire nation. Is that so hard to ask? I mean, we had complete wanton destruction in the Middle East as well, but at least we knew where to draw a line. So hundreds of people during the rally cried in Gaza City to demand an end to the war and reject Israel's plans for further displacement, because they want these people to leave. Maybe they do want to kill them. They don't care if they have to kill them, but if they leave, they're like, "Oh, that's cool." Whatever. Of course, we're going to look into where are these people going to go? Where can they go? They can't come here because our government is evil and sends children away that are sick and dying. Because we can't allow Palestinians in there because something, Hamas, something, Muslim terror, something. But this is what the people in Gaza have to say. We are exhausted. We die 1,000 times a day. We don't want to leave. We want to stay here. Bassam Ghazal told the BBC, "Stop the bloodshed. This is enough." Abdul Raham Hajjaj said she wanted to tell Hamas ceasefire negotiators that we demand is an immediate end to the war, because the longer it continues, the greater the number of martyrs, wounded, and prisoners. Gazans are afraid. So we'll look at a story where a Gazan, Mr. Shihada, a 62-year-old textile factory owner, he made calls to his friends and colleagues in Deir al-Balah, Nusrat, and al-Zawada, asking for help in securing a place for him and his family, because they've been displaced 6 times. But this time, the efforts failed. He's quoted saying, "We've had enough. We're not going anywhere. We're so tired and we can't take it anymore." What if this was you? What if Russia just decided to start annexing, the East Coast? They just come in and start trying to take over. And you have to go from place to place to place, just hoping that somebody will help you until it just runs out, because there is no one to help. Everyone's gone. And this is the problem, is that it'll never stop. They just need more and more and more. It hurts me. These people are hurting. They're starving. They're dying. And that's what they are, as people. Now we're gonna look into the number real quick of how many people, not even soldiers, how many civilians have been killed during this war. Figures from classified IDF database listed 8,900 named fighters as dead, probably dead in May, as overall death toll reaches 53,000. So the figures from a classified Israeli military intelligence database indicates 5 out of 6 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in Gaza have been civilians. An extreme rate of slaughter rarely matched in recent decades of war. 5 out of 6 Palestinians are civilians. So when I was saying how many people, and again, I want to look at this number. Let's look at this number real quick. 53,000. That's low. That's low. And this is by the IDF's own admission. And from inside the Israelis. So I'm gonna take this with a grain of salt because I've heard 80,000. I've seen humanitarians, and we'll look into where because of the indirect deaths, we're talking 100,000, over 100,000 people, and that number is only going to grow as starvation keeps getting worse and worse in the country. We're going to take one look at that and understand that this is only the beginning. There's going to be bodies piled high in Gaza. As of May, 19 months into the war, Israeli intelligence officials listed 8,900 named fighters from Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad as dead or probably dead. Let's just call it what it is. The number of Hamas compared to the number of people in Gaza is so disproportionate. And Gaza is a young country. So if there's 9,000, let's say 9,000 soldiers that are killed, but there's 53,000 Palestinians that have been killed. So if we look at that in numbers, a toll that includes combatives and civilians, fighters named in the Israeli military intelligence database accounted for just 17 in total, which indicates that 83% of the dead were civilians. Again, this is from the Israeli Defense Force. This is their own memo. This is their own. Then I guess they didn't want to admit it, but this is what they're saying internally. So this is what they know to be true, and they're still gonna cover it up because I've seen numbers as high as 95,000 civilian deaths. Totally disproportionate, but it's not a genocide. Don't forget that. So we're going to talk about bodies. We're talking about bodies. This is where it's going to really start piling up. Is we've reached a point of no return where if we should have gotten aid in yesterday. Food, medicine, doctors. Because now people are starving. Their organs are shutting down. Their body is eating itself. And you can't just hand a person that's starving like that an apple and say, good on you, get out of here. No, they need treatment. They need hospitalization. But no, they don't care about the bodies. They don't care about these people. Well, I'll show a video. I saw a video of a supply truck. People were waiting in line for the supply truck, and they just sped right past. People destroying, the IDF soldiers destroying supply boxes, kicking them down, throwing them on the ground. Disgusting. So, where is this adding up? Just recently, the UN declares famine in Gaza. That was today. Yeah, today. Just recently. Right as I was making this video, UN declares famine in Gaza. 2 people starved to death in 24 hours. 2 Palestinians have starved to death in Gaza in the past 24 hours, which also saw 71 people killed in Israeli attacks across the enclave, according to the territory's health administration. Again, remember what I said, as long as we keep it under 100. But the problem is this. When the bodies start piling up from starvation, there's going to be way more than 100 a day. So a UN classification system used to determine access to food has officially declared famine in Gaza. Why is there saying more than 500,000 Palestinians are facing catastrophic famine conditions, which include starvation, destitution, and death? And why are they starving? Is it because they don't have enough aid? Or is it because the IDF isn't allowing the aid? Is it because they're scared to go to the some of them are scared to go to the places with the aid because people have gone to the trucks and been gunned down? Tell me. They just want tell me exactly where the humanitarian aid is, where the humanity is at all when it comes to Israel and the Israelis and the Israeli Defense Force. They're evil. They're killing these people, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. And personally, I'd rather have a bullet in my head than die from starvation. But of course, it says Israel's foreign ministry has rejected the findings, saying that there's no famine in Gaza and the findings are based on Hamas lies. There you go. Let's just spoon feed the propaganda. And this is on the 22nd. At least 52 Palestinians have been killed across Gaza since dawn, including 36 in Gaza City. The most intense bombardments have taken place. So, and Israel's war on Gaza has killed at least 63,000 people. We said something about that number. We'll look into that number a bit deeper. And wounded 157,365. While 1,139 people were killed in Israel during the attacks of October 7th, and more than 200 people were taken captive. Lives, I'm not saying equivalent in exchange, but I'm saying look at those numbers. This isn't a genocide. It's a war. Okay. I wonder how many since October 7th. How many soldiers have I'm not saying that there's none, but how many soldiers have been killed, and how one-sided does it have to be before you stop calling it a war? How many Israelis have been killed in the past 2 years by Hamas? Now let's look into it. Let's find out. That is ridiculous. How one-sided does it have to be considered a war? 77 just today. I mean, so what have we learned? It made me sick. These are people. I fought with somebody. They said, "Oh, these people would kill you. They don't like the gays. They don't like certain religions. They don't like certain skin colors. They don't like women. They would kill us, jihad, blah, blah, blah. Muslim terror, Muslim scare." True or not true? Hamas is evil. The government's almost evil in a lot of countries. Is that the... I'd have to see if that's the idea for boots on the ground. If they feel like, oh, death to America, maybe they do. But that doesn't give them the right to not survive. Things can change. Things can evolve. Things aren't perfect in a lot of places in the world, especially here. They want to talk about they don't like women. They want to talk about they don't like certain skin colors. They want to talk about they don't like certain religions. Funnily enough, you're the one that's hating on Muslims. Your people. This is the country where we've taken away women's reproductive rights. This is the country where we try to control the trans and the gay folk. This is a country that is going backwards, just like they are. We want Christian fundamentalism, and is that so much better than Muslim fundamentalism? No. We want Christian Sharia. So, if you look at it, at the end of the day, these are people. These are people that are dying by the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and there's no end in sight. until Gaza is completely wiped off the map and all these people are either relocated or dead. And we are culpable in this situation. We have blood on our hands. This country, our people, and we have to stand up and fight. Just do anything you can in your own way. And that is what upsets me is people laughing about the protests. Well, we're going to look into the protests, and with the numbers add up, sooner or later, all these people that are gathering around, the fire is lit. The bomb will explode. Just watch. So we're experiencing a genocide. We're in the middle of history. What side are you going to be on? At the end of the day, how are you going to explain this to your grandkids, to your great grandkids? Where were you in 2010, 2023, 2024, 2025 when the second Holocaust was happening? Where were you? Where did you stand? When your government, when America was trying to be taken over by a fascist dictator, where did you stand? I guess we'll all see at the end of the day, won't we? But I know where I stand. I hope you stand with me.